Hi there, my name is Aldo Filippelli. I represent Estelon Loudspeakers and Vitus Audio Electronics. We are at AXPONA 2023. Here in our system in Schaumburg D, we are showcasing an Estelon Extreme Mark II loudspeaker for the first time in North America. It is the debut. These speakers retail for $269,000 a pair US. The amplification that we have is from Vitus Audio. Also a debut in North America. This is their Masterpiece series amplification. We have a pair of stereo amplifiers that have the ability to be used as individual stereo amps for a bi-amplified speaker system. It's a lot of power. It's a Class A rated 25 watts per channel at 8 ohms. Class AB rated 500 watts per channel at 8 ohms. They're $115,000 each, or $230 for the pair. In addition, we have all of our source components.
Okay.
The source components consist of the Masterpiece, Vitus Audio Masterpiece line stage preamp, which is a 2-box unit, Masterpiece DAC, a Signature Series phono stage, and we are using for the phono a acoustic signature AXPONA Neo turntable, fully rigged up by the people from Rutherford Audio, who is the distributor for acoustic signature. And we have a Inuos statement streamer, but we're not using the streamer function. We're actually using the native inboard hard drive loaded with a bunch of WAV files. Then we have a Strom tank DC power source, which is decoupled from the mains. So basically the entire source system that we have here in front of us is all being powered, battery powered. On the speaker system, it has a unique ability to be adjusted for the room and for the listeners, in that you could, via a remote control from the seated position, adjust the height of the cabinet and essentially its rake.
Okay, so I just tried to catch up, so I just heard it. I guess someone in the room is adjusting it right now as we speak, right?
Yes. So you could be sitting in the chair and not only adjusting it for the room acoustics, but for your own personal listening tastes and with whatever music is being played. Not every song is recorded exactly the same. Not every song is going to sound coherent. It's the only speaker in the world that has this ability to be remotely adjusted from the listener's chair to the listener's taste. Additionally, the tweeter is motorized. So the tweeter will actually have the ability to retract into the cabinet so that you could better time align the tweeter with the mid-range driver to further adjust for overall coherency and time arrival. The total value of the system is just a hair over $1.1 million, including the cable, which, by the way, I should really also mention the cable because it's pretty extraordinary. We're using crystal cable from the Netherlands, and they were kind enough to donate for this system, not for me to keep, about $330,000 worth of their cable. On the speakers, as they are bi-wired and are bi-amped, we're using 2 pairs of their Da Vinci cable, which is the highest end cable that they manufacture. Just the speaker cable on this system is $160,000 for the 4 cables that you see in front of you. What we've found is, it's a lot of money. In a system that has this level of quality and resolution, the cables truly do become the weakest link. And with this particular cable, due to the various metals that they use and how they apply those metals, we're able to have a much more time coherent sound with a lot less smearing and a lot less coloration.
And on the speakers, can you tell us a little bit about, how the company puts them together? What are they, proprietary drivers? They source the drivers elsewhere? What's the cabinet made of? Can you just give us a couple of details on the speakers?
Yeah, so I'll start with the cabinet because that's really a patented and core technology of Estelon. The cabinets are a marble composite, which is basically a crushed marble, a marble powder that is mixed with a proprietary epoxy composite blend. It is then poured as an injection mold into a molding system. So what you get is this solid material that has a particular shape based on what the engineer had decided is going to help control the acoustics, to minimize diffraction, to minimize loss, to minimize peaks of the reflections back onto the speaker from the cabinet.
Okay.
So in order to get those shapes, you have to be a little radical. You can't do that with wood. You can't do that with a lot of other materials. So they came up with this concept of addressing the cabinet density, the mass, minimizing vibration, minimizing loss due to the vibration and resonance, and at the same time controlling the radiation coming off of the drivers around the cabinet surface. So this becomes a functionally active part of what you're hearing in the sound. Even though it's a large speaker sitting there, they're very acoustically transparent, as if you were listening to a small pair of two-way bookshelves in a big room. They just disappear. Regarding the drivers, they're sourcing from Accutin, which is one of the premier driver companies in the world, a German company. The tweeter is a 25 millimeter Accutin diamond tweeter. So it's using a diamond diaphragm, diamond dome. Even though it's hard, it's not a hard sound, which is so typical when you're talking about hard versus soft dome. The mid-range driver is a ceramic cone mid-range. The mid-bass driver and the low-frequency drivers are all 250 millimeter drivers using an aluminum sandwich construction. Aluminum is great because it allows it to be a very hard yet light surface, but Accutin takes it to the next level. So this particular dome is, as a moving mass, is about the weight of a typical 5-inch paper cone. So you have an ultra light surface, an ultralight diaphragm. Yet it's being powered by a 4.5-inch diameter titanium voice coil with a double stacked neodymium magnet. It's a pistonic driver. There's no cone breakup. So when you're listening to it, the bass is fast. It has a big transient peak and then it dies right away. There's no overhang. The bass drivers that are at the bottom of the cabinet are low pass at 80 hertz. In most conventional loudspeaker designs, they're typically going to be 150, sometimes even 200 hertz low pass. What that means is you're listening to mid-bass frequencies that are coming out of a bottom-mounted driver that's near the floor, where you're getting all of this acoustical gain that occurs in the room. Estelon said, no, we're going to use it as a subwoofer, and then we're going to put the mid-bass driver at the top of the cabinet where it's high enough off the floor that you don't have those gain issues in the mid-bass due to the room and reflections off the floor.
Fantastic. So what is the efficiency of the speaker?
The speakers are 91 dB.
Okay, so we have
Sensitive.
efficient pair of speakers, which I guess then takes us to the amplifiers, right?
Yes. Right now they're configured in Class A.
Okay.
And in Class A, they're 25 watts per channel at 8 ohms.
Okay.
In Class AB, they're 500 watts per channel at 8 ohms.
Okay.
So it is old school, real Class A. They went old school on it because they found that it sounded better. It sounded more organic. It sounded smoother in the highs, almost tube-like in a lot of ways. As it is a true high current amp, with each halving of impedance, it doubles the power, especially through Class A mode, until it gets to the point where it becomes current limited. It has two independent power supplies, one for the left channel, one for the right. They're treating it as a true dual mono amplifier. They have over 1.1 farad, which is over 1 million microfarads of capacitance on the A rails of the amplifier. So as it is a true dual mono, we're talking two separate power supplies, two separate power banks of capacitance totaling to over 2.2 farads. On the back of the amplifier, thereby, it has separate power inputs for the left and right. So you need to supply it with a minimum of two 15 amp dedicated power lines. The logic circuit, so the digital control circuit for all the control functions and functionality, is also on an isolated power supply of its own. So that becomes the third power input on the back of the amp.
These speakers do not have to be bi-amped, is that correct?
They do not have to be bi-amped.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having us.
Yep.
Can you play a few bars of music for us?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Be happy to do so.